Hey, what is up guys? GuitarRock here, welcome back to another Brown Dust 2 video. Alright, let's talk a little bit about team building. A lot of you guys have been asking me to make a tutorial about this, so hopefully I'll try to chime in and give you guys to the best of my abilities on what you guys can try to optimize in terms of building a team. Look at this, Alec is right here and I can't recruit him. I don't even have the rainbow tickets. Ah man. Alright, hopefully we'll get some soon. Hopefully. As far as I know, you can't even buy that thing. Like, even if you want to whale in the game, there's no way for you to whale in the game, right? You can't, there's no package that, as far as I can tell, to basically buy that 5-star recruitment scroll. Which I think is a miss for them, you know. If they sell something for like $10, I might consider buying it. But anyways, let's talk about team building. Alright, building a team. How do you want to go through in approaching in terms of building a team ideally? So here's the thing, this game right now, there's multiple ways for you to do so. Let me see if I can just go to the previous chapter. And it really depends, there's no one fixed way of building a team. I think it's quite flexible in terms of how you want to approach certain things, right? It depends on the enemy ideally. So certain enemies are going to be much more weaker against physical. And you will notice that in like early stage of the game. Later on, you notice the enemies are much more like resist to physical, and they start doing like heavy magical damage or magic damage, right? So I like the approach of using one supporter at least. Arenas is something that everybody has access to for free, and I don't think that she's probably the only supporter that has insane buffs, right? Outside of Samai, the second costume, which does buff you for 20%. So right now I have a +5, you can see this is like 70% increase in attack and crit rate 30%. Now this attack is going to be super substantial because 70% attack at +5, by the way. I think at +0 is like 30%. Yeah, you almost get double the amount. This is like an insane buff for sure. It's going to help you a ton. So ideally, something like Arenas, I love using her in my team. And then I will have one damage dealer. Alright, so regardless of who you have, it really depends, right? One damage dealer. In this case, we have Justia. I think everybody has access to her. Alright, she has the ability to hit in these 3 tiles, diagonal and horizontal. And if you did pull for the Kendo Club one, you'll have even more access for that. And then this particular team is much more centered towards magic. You can see we have Samai in this case. Her concept is she has this ability that decreases magic resist by 50%. And then you have Celia right here. Alright, which also do a bunch of damage. Alright, I'll need to turn that off if I want to use both because it's going to be super expensive. Something along those lines is going to move Celia to the middle. But yeah. So, one thing that you guys want to approach things is also try to bring at least one tank. Alright, so defenders are going to be very helpful, surprisingly. Alright, defender, at least one, like maybe Carlson. Does help you early on. If you're struggling with any stage, consider Carlson. Carlson is going to be a very good candidate. So let's jump into a little bit of team. Let's go into this section right here. In the costume collection. So let's talk a little bit about Carlson. Why Carlson is strong and what makes him really strong. So Carlson is very unique in the sense that he has the ability right here to decrease incoming physical damage by 35%. Alright, this is going to last for 2 turns. Now, enemy's attack and your attack is going to be divided into 2 different types. Alright, you're going to have either a magical type or a physical type, depending on who you are. Like for example, Justia can click right here. Alright, you can see she's going to do physical damage. Alright, so that's how you know if they are physical type or magical type. Shira is going to be based off magic damage. Alright, so it's always divided into 2 different ones. So depending on who you're using, like your team can be either physical or magical, or it can be a hybrid, right? So let's talk about physical in general. So Carlson is a good physical tank. Alright, Carlson is probably the best physical tank out there. If you are looking just to counter enemies that are physical, Carlson has this ability that help you a lot. Alright, if you're looking for just one tank, you can see decreased incoming physical damage. However, that makes him really weak to magical. So later on, I think start from chapter 5 onwards, you'll start seeing some enemies that can do magical damage. And in that case, Carlson is going to get destroyed and one-shotted, right? So, and that's where Jaden comes in. So Jaden is like the equivalent of Carlson. He's a 4-star, but you can see he decreased incoming magic damage by 50% and also has the ability to heal. Now if the enemy is much more like magical based, that's where Jaden is going to be able to help you a little bit. I know he's not the best looking character out there, but trust me, if you need a tank, he's going to be able to help you a ton. Now there's a character that's going to be very broken, which is somewhere in between these two, and that's going to be what's her name again? Sylvia. Now Sylvia is she basically culminates the physical and magical, and she has the ability to tank both. You can see right here she is able to decrease incoming damage by 50%. Notice it didn't really mention physical or magical. That means she will be able to basically absorb both. Yeah, she's very good in that sense. Sylvia is going to be a very strong sort of a counter attacker tank base character. If you have her, I do think that she's going to be one of the top tier characters for now, right? Although she doesn't really have taunt, that's also something to consider, but you can sort of position her in a way where she will get attack and she can, you know, perform a counter attack. Now, in terms of either one defender or two defender, I would say one defender is the best, right? You don't really have to go for both defenders. Something to keep in mind is also a physical team. Alright, so what is going to be the best candidate for physical team? The best candidate right now, if you're running like fully physical, is going to be Cry. Now why Cry? Cry has an ability right here, you can see. He has, he does damage, right? But also the secondary effect here, decrease defense by 50% for 4 turns. So look out for that ability. Defense is going to be something that enemy, if you are doing physical damage, you want to decrease enemy's defense. By decreasing enemy's defense, you are going to be able to do more physical damage. And contrary to that, Samai is going to be much more fitting in a magical team. For example, you can see she basically does pretty much the same thing, with the exception that she decreased magic resist by 50% for 4 turns. Alright, so in that sense, it really depends on who you are trying to build in a team. But right now you can see, if I'm not mistaken, Alice is very unique in that sense, right? I don't really like her kit that much because of that reason. Let me see if I can bring her up. Where is Alice? Alice right here. So she's going to be a bit finicky to use, in my humble opinion. I don't think she's exactly easy to use. Maybe later on, if you're building hybrid teams, she can work. But you can see she deals physical damage, but she decreases magic resistance. So it's like, I wish she would deal magic damage, not because she decreased magic resist, right? So that means she's going to be a little bit weird. I'm not sure if this is a typo, this is a bug or something. Like, I don't have her to test her out, but based on what I can tell right here, maybe she's going to fit much more in a hybrid team whatsoever. Now, one more thing to consider, like I mentioned, right? Healers. Should you bring healers to your team? Now that depends, right? I don't see the need for heals as much, because most of the time you can basically cook food, and you can see this one, you can basically cook the food and eat the food, right? If you guys are not aware, you can use this, go to the cook, right? You can cook any of these dishes, and this will be able to restore your HP every time you need to. You can basically craft food and eat them, or you can just go to the inn. So healers are not needed as much, or at least right now, based on what I've observed, a lot of the characters that heal, they don't seem to heal that much, right? For example, Julie is one good example. Julie can heal, but she just heals so little. Alright, her heal is over the period of time. So let me see if I can bring this up. You can see she heals 9 based off 25% of a magic attack. It's like an every turn incremental thing every 6 turns. She's probably going to be someone that everybody has, but if you want to, Lee Hsien is also a good one. She also heals based off 50% of magic attack, but removes the target's DOT. Is going to be her main purpose. Alright, you want to cleanse the debuff, etc. So let's jump into one more battle and show you guys a little bit more. One thing that I believe many players are not aware of, you can basically configure your team during the battle. Alright, this is something that not at the start of the battle, alright, not during the battle. Once you enter phase 2, turn 3, turn 4, you cannot configure anymore. You can click this button right here, right? So let's say I forgot to bring my Carlson. I want to bring my Carlson. Click on Carlson, alright, we can bring Carlson in, swap Shera, swap with Shera, so she will be there. And then I can click Rubia, I want to swap certain characters out, alright? And yeah, you can configure your team as follows. Alright, so at the beginning of the turn, you can configure your team right here. So don't be afraid to try different things out. I think this game is pretty good in this sense that you have the ability and it's just super flexible. I like it. Alright, it's very flexible in the sense that if you want to, you can just change your characters around. Yes, early on, I understand. Building multiple characters are super expensive. That's something that, you know, it's like a typical gacha game thing, right? It's something that all of us run into, no problem whatsoever. But once you progress into the middle to late game, you can start building more than one team and, you know, try out different teams. Later on, you're gonna need multiple teams as well. It's gonna be very advantageous for you as a player. But that is the core basics of ideally how you want to build a team. I would say one supporter, one tank, alright, one defender. It can be Carlson, Jaden, whoever, and then you'll have either a bunch of damage dealers in your team. So right now, this is the hybrid team that I'm using right now, right? So let me showcase what this team can do. So Arenas is going to buff, and then I have Celia. What Celia does is Celia helps my Carlson in a way because she applies attack reduction. Alright, since Carlson is also a physical tank, so this decreased attack is going to help you even more. Alright, Celia actually has two costumes. This one is decreased attack, one more is decreased magic attack. So this complements a physical tank like Carlson. It helps you tank even better. Alright, because you're decreasing the enemy's physical attack. And then you have Justia is just straightforward. She does true damage, right? And very good in that sense. She can do a lot of things, very flexible. She fits into almost every team, same like Alec. So I feel like because she does true damage, she doesn't have to rely on she can still benefit from buffs from Arenas for sure, but she's not reliant on debuff in that sense. So and then we have Rubia in this case, much more of a DOT character. Alright, so in this case she does physical damage, but you can see her main strength is going to come from the additional physical damage that occurs every turn. So she's much more of a DOT character per se. Obviously there's much more complexity when it comes to building a team, but something that I've been experimenting is also sometimes I could just take Rubia out, right? And I could put Samai and she can help decrease magic resistance, so therefore that can improve my Celia's damage all together. So there's a lot more nuance to this, and I can go to every single character and talk about every single character in general, but you just want to pay attention to the first a couple of characters. Arenas, I highly recommend you guys to build her. She's probably going to be your best support buffer for the longest time ever, because as far as I know, there's no one else that can support buffs as much or do supporting abilities unless you have this character right here, Samai, which is her second costume. You can see this one increased attack and also magic attack by 20%, right? So something that is going to help you significantly. But other than that, Arenas is going to be, you know, your go-to. She doesn't increase crit rate, so that's something to consider as well. But I still think this is going to be a very good buff. It's only used 2 SP, so very good. Also heals as well, so something to consider. Samai is a good option. Samai and Arenas. I wouldn't bring too many supporters, but that's up to you guys. Based on my experience, one supporter is enough. I'd rather have one tank, and then the rest is going to be your damage dealer. That's pretty much the core of it. Alright, so that's going to be it for this video. I'll try to talk more about some of the characters that I've discovered so far and give you guys a better idea later on, and maybe make my own tier list as well, right? So as always, subscribe, give this video a like. I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a nice day. Goodbye.